hitchhiking adventure, you guys. How exciting. I remember when you first reached out to us last year when you did a trip, and I felt more like I was trying to catch up because I didn't know about it ahead of time. And this time, I feel like I took this, was it a 30-day journey with you?
26 days.
26-day journey with you. I am so excited. You guys, you're a Wadsworth High School graduate,
Correct,
Michael.
1990.
And you now live in Rittman.
Correct.
So how cool is it to have close by fun friends like this? I'm so excited. So you hitchhiked. You took a ferry to a city in Ontario, Canada.
Livingston, Ontario, correct.
And from there, you hitchhiked across Alaska and back.
Correct.
In 26 days.
Yes, 26 days, correct.
How many miles did you put on your shoes?
12,000 kilometers is what we know. We did it all in kilometers because in Canada, everything is kilometers. Across Canada, we know we did 11,875 kilometers. And then from Niagara Falls to Erie, where my wife picked us up to be our final ride, was 161 miles, which I think came up, or a little more, it was 186 kilometers. We transferred it to kilometers to get us over the 12,000 mark. So
wow. 12,000 kilometers is 7,456 miles approximately.
Correct.
Did you have to buy new shoes in this time frame?
My shoes fell apart.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
And that's
so
you kept them duct taped.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
When we were in Grand Prairie the first time, so about day 4 or 5, they started coming apart. And so we started duct taping them,
and it worked.
And it worked, correct.
So tell me about some of the weather you encountered, and how in the world did you pack for? You know, you can't. You have to pack really light, right? So tell me what you encountered weather-wise.
We encountered like everything. We encountered really hot days, really cold days, a ton of rain, and you can't really like pack for any of it because you don't know what you're gonna be going through.
So where do you, when you're in the middle of hitchhiking from place to place, where do you sleep?
Just on the side of a road or behind a church or somewhere like that.
Do you find yourself like with in other words, if you're going through it, it's like, okay, well, we're going to have to buy a couple of jackets and you wear them, and then you're in the warmer weather and you know you're not going to need them anymore. Do you carry those clothes with you, or do you donate them and leave them there? Is it kind of a revolving suitcase?
A few different things that you just said exactly. The only thing we bought that we didn't take along was a sleeping bag. The second or third night there, it was -1 degree Celsius. It was snowed a little bit on the ground in the morning, and so I bought a sleeping bag that morning. And then so we used the buddy system the whole way there. Around day 11 or 12 in Fairbanks, Alaska, we knew what we weren't going to use. After taking that point, so we sent 8 pounds home of our backpacks to get it down. And then as the trip went along, when we would go to the laundromats around, I would say around day 15, 16, we started getting rid of clothes and donating them to their box. Because a lot of things you go through is a lot of socks. We had so many socks, and we started with used socks that were getting wore out. So we ended up buying new socks and then getting rid of socks. We donated our pajama pants. We got rid of those. So we found we were just sleeping in our jeans inside the sleeping bag together. We donated our tent to a gentleman because we no longer were using that. We were just sleeping on the tent or in the sleeping bag outside. And like Guppy said, we slept everywhere. The very first night, we slept behind a school. We mostly slept at schools and churches if we could, because those are the safe places. We slept in one cemetery this time.
I couldn't have done it. How did you feel about that, Guppy?
It's like the dead's not gonna mess with you. They're not gonna come back and like be like leave.
Yeah, I really couldn't have done it. You are so much more brave than I think I will ever be. There's so much that you're saying though, Michael, it's even bigger than the journey that the two of you took together and the bonding experience. I mean, you're also giving back. You're also sparking adventure. You're also showing that there is more good than bad in the world. I mean, there's just this whole big thing that's going on here that's just, it's big.
Yeah, and people still care. I mean, to do this trip, you're really literally relying on the kindness of strangers. to pick you up, and strangers that become friends after the ride and everything, and then start following.
Have you how many summers have you done this now?
This was we started in 2013, so this was our 6th or 7th adventure.
Do you find yourself some of the friends you made still keeping in touch with them?
100%. 100%. And one of the things on the bucket list this year was Guppy wanted to meet someone that was still following us that started from Scott's and I adventure when he and I hitchhiked up to Alaska and back. And so we met Laura in Massey, Ontario, I believe.
Yeah,
Massey,
it was Ontario.
And she had been following us. She wanted us to stop on the way up, and we missed her because you just don't know where the rides are going. So we actually had a ride that would have got us all the way to Niagara Falls on day 24. And we skipped that ride so that we could make sure to hit her town. So we took a bunch of short rides to get to her town. And we went in, and she owns a little cafe. And we had coffee, hot chocolate, and muffins, and talked to her. And she had a couple of the council members come in from the town, and we talked to them. And it was funny because she could remember like exactly the food that Scott ate 3 years ago and everything.
That's amazing. How on earth do you plan something like this, and how long does it take?
It takes about a year to plan. We've already started planning last year's. Around halfway through the trip, or next year's trip, about halfway through the trip, we start discussing, so what are we going to do next year? And then we let our followers help. Like, we started talking about the different 4 points, going to 4 points of the U.S., and then Lynette from Doylestown typed in, and she was like, that would be nice, what if you did this route and everything? And so we sort of like let people that follow us help us along the way of decide the routes, and that's what we're working on now. We know we're going to hit Seattle, Washington, San Diego, Florida, Maine. Our decision is which direction. If we start in Maine, Florida, San Diego, then to Seattle, we may try to shoot up and hit Alaska and come back and hit all 4 points plus Alaska next year.
Wow.
I'm thinking like,
I couldn't fly. I'd be...
how many do you always have the designated time frame? So I remember last year it was a 20-some day trip as well. Mm-hmm. Now, do you keep that time frame? So are you trying to go to all of these places within?
Correct. This year we planned between 20 and 30 days is what we set out with. And we got way ahead of schedule. We made it to Alaska in 8 days and 3 hours. So that gave us a lot of time to play. We did extra things like once we went to Fairbanks, Alaska. He met the mayor of Fairbanks, got a coin of the city.
Now, how did they know you would be there?
Okay, well, we just happened to be taking pictures and went in, and some lady had asked what we were doing. And she said, the mayor's in there. He'd probably love to hear your story. Go in. And we walked in and started talking to the secretary. And the next thing we know, and the mayor heard us. He came right out and was like, yes, yes, yes. And he got his suit coat on, and we met him. And then he had called the chief of police, and he came over. So Guppy got pictures with that gentleman also. And it was a wonderful experience. I mean, everywhere we went, across Canada, Alaska, it was unbelievable. The hospitality we received was unbelievable.
Well, you can't help but be like jaw drop when you hear, I'm sorry, you're doing what?
Yeah, exactly.
Because first of all, until you brought it to our attention that you're doing it, I've never heard of anyone else doing it, not local for sure. And just in the day and age that we live in, everyone, it's not safe. And what would you say to someone who might say you're crazy, and especially to take your son with you? Do you hear that ever?
Yes.
A few times, but it's like more people are like, wow, I can't believe you're doing that. I'll take you as far as I can, and just look on it positively than negatively.
And more people want to do that with their children. We've heard people talking about how they may not be able to take a month off for a vacation and an adventure, but they'll have started doing little adventures with their kids. Even just the little things of getting out there and going fishing and starting the bond again, because a lot of people are trapped on their electronics and phones. And this is one thing that I love is it gets Guppy off of the electronics for a month and lets him see the world and lets him see people and experience different things. I mean, we go to tons of museums and just hear everybody's story. Everybody has a story.
That is
Not two rides are the same.
My I don't blog often, and I haven't in more than a year, but my tagline is everyone has a story to show and tell. Mm-hmm. And you're a beautiful picture of that. Do you ever stop and think, what will Jacob remember and tell his family one day? Because, we took our our 2 young boys, 3 and 5, to the beach. We just got back a few days ago, and various things happened throughout that trip. And I stopped and I thought, I wonder what at least my big kid might remember from this to tell his family one day. Have you ever thought about that?
100%. We talk about that in rides all the time, and then just walking. We'll be walking for hours, and I just tell them, I'll say, you're 13. You do not realize what you're doing right now. But I'm like, someday you're gonna have kids, and they're gonna ask you, Dad, have you ever been on an adventure? And
oh
you're
boy,
gonna
have
blow their
you?
mind.
Yeah.
Well, sit down here, son. Let me tell you, daughter. Let me tell you something. Yeah.
So, wanted to ask a couple of things. I don't even know how you'll probably be able to pick from this question, but your favorite. Did you have like a hands down absolute favorite, or a couple of favorite things that you saw, something that you did, a place that you went,
Yeah.
or a ride that you got?
Well, we got picked up by this man, Paul, who took us to his rock quarry, and I got to drive a dump truck loader.
That is pretty
Really?
cool.
He got to do it all. He was so good at it. They redesigned this loader as a video game controller. I was absolutely terrible at it. I don't play video games. I was all over the place wrecking. Guppy's in there all smooth. We got a video of him. I mean, he went in, got a few scoops, drove it over to the crusher, dumped it in, and he controlled it all from the machine. He controlled the crusher and everything. And with me, you watch him getting a little closer, stop, getting a little closer, stop, getting a little, and he was so smooth, just gliding it in, because it was designed like a video game controller.
That's so cool.
But
what else was a big highlight for you on this adventure?
We got to go to this ice museum, and like one thing as a joke on my bucket list, because people they'll joke with us and be like, have fun in the igloo, sleeping in Alaska and stuff like that. So I said I wanted to find one and sit in it in my bucket list. And we went to this ice museum, and there's a real igloo in there, so I got that to check that off my bucket list.
I love it. Do you actually, because we always make a summer bucket list, which I'm a few days behind. I mean, I have the ideas in my head, and we've been kind of checking them off, but the vacation, I didn't realize when I got back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the date of summer that we're in summer now. Do you have a physical bucket list where you check things off?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's so fun. Anything else that was a highlight on your trip?
Just all the wildlife that's so beautiful, and everything is just great.
I saw a video of you walking with bison from like me to your dad, which is what, 5 feet?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So equal parts terrified and excited when I saw it, because I want to walk amongst moose, and I would like to see a hippo with my own eyes. Both are very dangerous animals, and any wild animal that's that big in a herd, dangerous, right?
Correct.
So talk to me about that, and how did you feel, and how did you kind of just get through it carefully?
Well, all you have to do with bison is I just thought of them like as big cows, and you just have to stay behind them and not get in their way or anything. And whenever they would cross the road and wait for traffic, then get past them.
Or just run faster than someone else, like your dad, right? As long as you're
running faster.
That's our family's joke.
Yeah.
You just have to be faster than one person.
Yeah.
And just in respect also. You respect the wildlife just like you respect your neighbor and everyone
Because you're the visitor.
Exactly.
You're the visitor. You're not throwing them off the couch. The couch is, you're the visitor there.
That reminds me. Did you see a moose?
Oh my gosh,
So
did we see
many.
moose. We saw so many moose. On day 10 or 11, when we were doing our Good Morning video at the North Pole, because we slept outside Santa Claus house right next to the reindeer at North Pole. We were doing a video.
Real reindeer?
Real reindeer.
No plastic.
Real Santa Claus house. The whole town was like Tim Allen's movie. The light posts in the town were candy canes. All the restaurants had trees up. It was Christmas all year long there.
And it wasn't cold there. I feel like I saw you guys in short sleeves.
Correct.
Right?
It was warm. The further north you would get, the warmer it would get. It was funny. It was cold around the lakes, and then Alaska. He's playing in snow, and we're sweating up there as we're going to the top of the world. But we were doing a video, and a moose, just like if it would come across the street or first come out of the woods. And it came within 5 to 6 feet of us. So it came up to us. We're sitting there just talking on the video, being very quiet, and it was eating the wild rose bushes, and stood there for about a minute, and then just walked off. It was like it wanted to be part of our video, but that was the amazing thing.
That is amazing.
Billy Goat, we called him 3 Billy Goats Gruff. When we were on the way to Jasper, we saw 3 wild goats on the side of the mountain, and we got within 10 feet of them, of a dad, a mom, and a little baby that was just as small as a little kitten. It was so cute.
See, Tina was terrified. We had a raccoon in the ceiling here a couple weeks ago. She was scared of that, so I could just picture her being 3 feet away from a moose.
I would love it. I want to, you see it in a video, but my own eyes. I need my own eyes to see that. I need my own eyes to see a whale. There's just something about your own eyes seeing something.
A beaver, watching beaver build a dam, walking down the road was so amazing. Porcupine. I mean, we hear a porcupine, and they're walking down the road. It was truly, truly amazing.
You talk about that, and again, the animals. I could remember that experience that I had, of course, on astronomy and space, where first time I saw Saturn with the rings in a telescope. It's along those. You see pictures of it. You see this, but when you see it in real life, it's like it's so
blows you away.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, the bear were amazing. Seeing those, and we saw a lot of bear. One day we saw at least 15 bear going up in the Yukon and everything.
And you're walking right along where.
Yes, and bear are the easiest.
Bear
are the easiest animal to get away from you.
Oh.
And believe it or not, it's hard to spot a bear because we're loud. And in fact, I mean, that's how you get rid of the animals, is you just talk. Like when we would just keep talking, singing.
Well, how do you talk for 26 days straight? I was in a car ride for 13 and a half hours driving home, and by hour 10.
You don't have trouble. She don't have trouble talking. Come on.
I was like, it was this in the car. We were like, well, we have to talk about.
We never ran out of things to talk about, and we would sing songs, a lot of songs. We would change so many, like I would sing The Gambler by Kenny Rogers and throw Guppy in there. And I kept repeating that Baby Shark song.
Yes.
I was going teenage Gup for
That's
hours back and forth.
We were doing it too. We were changing it to Grandpa Shark and our kid's name.
And so that would keep, but the noise would keep the bears away then.
Correct. And that's I mean, it's really, really hard to walk up on a bear. When I mean walk up, I mean get within 100 yards of the bear. Like we would see them on the hill, and we would be quiet so that we could get up a little closer to get pictures. Now, when I say closer, I'm talking like 20, 30 yards. But the minute you make a noise, and they see you, they're gone. But say if you want to get rid of a bear, you just have to be big. We used to say, you're human, and put our hands above our head and make big signs going back and forth, making our bodies seen and everything. And with the moose, all of them, it was instantly they would go in. The only animal that wasn't was the bison, and they were more curious. How he was talking about walking on the road. Mm-hmm. They were on the opposite side of the road when we came up to them, and we stayed back about 10, 15 feet, and then they got curious and came to us and crossed the road right in front of us and got on our side. And so we went to the middle of the road, walking on the yellow line, just to give them more space. Because it is a wild animal, they're unpredictable. Their territory. So we just showed them respect, and we walked for about 10 minutes with them. And then they crossed the road again, and cars came and stopped to take pictures. And we had enough video and everything, so we just hurried up and got on by, let somebody else have the pictures.
One of the things I noticed, and you're wearing the shirts today, they're red shirts with white letters that say Her Realtors on them. I noticed that you had these shirts on your journey too. Is there a reason?
Okay, yes. Jen Wiles is a follower of ours. She started following us, I believe, on the River Adventure a few years ago. And she helped my wife and I buy a house and after one of the adventures. And every year, before she even met us, like when she was following us, the first year she was like, I love what you're doing. I would like to donate $100 to your adventure. And then last year before the trip, she knew we were going, and she sent us a huge thing of hot dogs and hamburgers to beef up. So I contacted her about 2 months ago, and I said, you always help us out on our trips. I said, let us help you out. I said, we always wear the same shirts. Would you like to make us a couple shirts? And so she made 2 shirts, the red ones and white ones with her logo on the back, or on the front, and then it says Guppy Goes to Alaska on the back with the hashtag.
Super cool.
Yes,
Isn't it? How does it make you feel that the community is on board too?
Oh, it's just awesome. It is just truly it's a blessing. And not only that, just on board, that the community is looking out for us. Like anytime if we would get stuck or something, someone would say, like, even give us advice how to get out of there, or hey, don't you live up in this area? You think you can help them, or do you know someone that can help to get further down the road, etc.? So.
Did you ever stay the night at anybody's home?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Really?
a couple times.
Okay, without any reservations.
Correct.
You can, I've read that you can get a good feel on a person in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, yes, it changes though. It changed. I did have one of those incidents.
This is
Which you did, yeah.
the incident that we're talking about.
Correct.
It's it's a separate one.
The one where the people wanted to keep Guppy.
Yeah, can we
Yeah.
talk about that for a minute, and I want to tell you the reason why.
Sure, 100%. We would like to.
Part of me wants you to take me on the adventure, and part of me is like, I'm deathly afraid to do that, because it really is taking a giant leap of faith and a giant leap of just a lot of things, and I love adventuring, but I want to talk about this because when we talked to you last year and you mentioned that you had code words to use in case there would be a problem which you encountered this time around. It was something I had not thought about, and it is now something that we are implementing in our family. So I want to bring this up because you guys handled it amazing. So let's talk about, you were in a part of Alaska.
Correct. Well, no, we were in Grenfell, Saskatchewan.
Okay. And you were trying to hitch a ride, and you got one from a couple who suffered a tragedy.
Correct. Well, it actually, that was a weird day. We didn't hitch a ride. Actually,
They
that
just
morning.
pulled over and
Yes, that morning we got
you
3
were
rides
just
in a
walking.
row from people noticing us. I'm talking different cities that would, like we were walking around and they started talking to us. What are you doing when we're taking? Like, if we take pictures of Wadsworth, we tell them like, oh, we'll get you up to the next city. And so we got 2 rides in a row of not even throwing up our thumbs trying to hitchhike. And then we were walking around the town of Grenfell, and this couple happened to see us taking pictures and was like, what are we doing? And we told them what we were doing. And we were going to go to a powwow that evening.
What is a powwow, by the way?
it's like an Indian party where they sing and do all these dance and rituals. And
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
And it's like a tournament, a dance tournament, what we've learned. There's big prize money in it and all. They all compete. And it's anywhere from 6 to 10 people.
They probably don't do the floss dance, huh?
That might be
Maybe.
another money.
Or Fortnite. I'm trying to get hip. Okay. So you're not even putting
We're
the
not even
thumbs up.
hitchhiking.
You're just getting rides. And is that odd to you?
No, maybe it was a couple years ago, but not now. It's just, it's funny. What's funny is when someone picks us up and says, hey, my aunt picked you up 2 days ago in Alberta, and we're now in the Yukon or something
Cool.
like that. That has happened.
Really?
Yes.
That far? Wow. Isn't that something?
That is
They
something.
had stopped us, talked to us, and they said that they were the next reservation over, because it works where we were reservations, and it gave him a different aspect. He was thinking reservations were like just teepees in different areas, and what it is
just
just
open
country.
land?
Yes, open land, and it's a house here, and you don't see another house for a long time, but they have things like golf course, because this couple that picked us up, they got us, it was around 10 in the morning. Guppy and I were about 8 miles from the powwow, so we were going to walk, get something to eat, take pictures, and just take our time getting there.
So they were willing to drive you that 8 miles.
Well, yes, they said they were going to the powwow that evening. It didn't start until 6. That if we wanted, we could go to their house, to the reservation, and then they could take us around, drive us around. And then standing there talking, the gentleman had talked about, he had worked at a golf course, and I worked for Rawega Country Club, cutting the greens and fairways and stuff. And so, and he had saw our hat, and he was like, oh, let me take you to my job. And it was so funny seeing how the golf course in Alaska, they cut and they do everything the same we do down here, and it's amazing. And so we were all for it, and so we went to their house
And
first.
you didn't have any vibe. You didn't get any.
Didn't get any vibe at all. They were just perfectly two normal people, just like sitting here talking to you. They were very excited about what we do. We see that a lot. And they were sharing so much information with us about the reservations, about the natives, how it works. Like they get a native card, they can come in. It's like their passport. They can go over the border and different stuff. And we explain the schooling, how their schooling. They have schools on the reservation, and it's
Now
all
they lived on the reservation.
They lived on the reservation.
They were part of that. Okay.
Correct. So we go to their house, and we took our bags and everything. at their house. They had made nachos and cheese for Guppy, and he ate those. We sat and talked and made a couple videos, and then we went to the golf course. When we got to the golf course, Guppy and I were given a golf cart. Jamie, one of the natives who runs it, said that, go out on the course, check it out and everything. So we were out there for about 10, 15 minutes driving. And when we came back, this is where it starts to get different. The police were there. And the police were talking to the couple that picked us up. And Jamie came up to us and said, hey, just stay away a second. Let the cops talk. And what we sort of learned, was either she had called 911 or butt dialed 911. We don't know what happened, but the police came up to me at that time and asked me if we were all right, what we were doing, and who choked Guppy.
Yeah.
And it was like,
nothing even happened.
I said, nobody's been choked. I said, I just came off. I was like, you want to see our videos? I said, we were just on a golf
I
ride.
have goosebumps though at this point.
Yeah, we were like sitting there,
We
and then
were just so confused.
yeah, we were confused, and then so we started. The cop left, and we ended up meeting
And
that
the
cop
cop
again.
left you there.
Yes, and so the cop leaves, and we met him later that evening. Again, I happened to run into this cop and told him what happened. But so we get in the car, and all of a sudden, she went from being very nice
She
to
just snapped.
snapping. She started saying that I was evil, that Guppy was really a girl, and I'm homeless, raising him as a boy, and they were going to raise him as their daughter. And then they take us to, they want to show us this valley, which is beautiful valley. And
There's like a ledge on the edge though, and they're like, people throw all these things off of it, and they're like, here,
come
look
here.
over.
They kept trying to get us closer. They're like,
Yeah.
get closer to the
No,
edge.
I'm good.
I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just hold my camera and look. And I'm like, what's wrong with your wife? I mean, I was being blunt. What's wrong with her? I said, she went from being nice to all of a sudden crazy. And he said, she's just upset. We lost our daughter recently, and she's going through PTSD, etc. And so, all right, I feel bad. And so I immediately told Guppy, man, we got to get our bags and get out of here. I said, I'm feeling uncomfortable here. So we get...
Is that when you use your code words or
Not
just...
yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
Not
so
until
wait
they
a
lock
minute.
us in their house and deadbolt us in. That's when the code words. I didn't even, we practiced for weeks and months about how to use the code words in a sentence.
And this is what my dad does. We're sitting there, and he's just like trying to tell everyone. It seems like he's like, Bob shows moment. This is a Bob shows moment. Let's tell everyone. We should put this
That
on
was our
Facebook.
code word, officer
Yeah.
shows for Rittman. And I didn't even use it in a sentence. I just started blurting it out. And I'm trying to explain to the lady, I was like, look, we want to go. And they're like, no, you're not going anywhere. We're going to keep Guppy here and raise him. And I'm like, excuse me? And she said, you're homeless. We know you're not raising him properly. I said, no. So I called my wife, and I was like, listen, here's where I am. This is the license plates. The pictures that you see are where that I posted last, because I can't get a signal. I can barely get a phone signal. And I said, I can't even give you an address. All I can tell you is what reservation I'm on and what the house looks like. And I said, will you talk to this lady and ask her to please let us out of the house? That she won't let us out. So my wife gets on the phone with her, and they talked for about 15 minutes, and she gets off the phone. She still isn't accepting that Guppy's okay. And I told the guy, I was like, will you please let us go? Your wife is scaring my son. And I'm saying it just like if I was telling Tom, hey,
that
right
blunt,
this close to
yeah.
you. Tina's scaring him. We're out of here. And he's like, no, you're not. And I said, he's like, everything's perfectly safe. You'll be fine. Let us take you to the powwow tonight. And I said, well, we'll just walk. I'm like, can you just tell me where it is? He goes, no, it's 5 fields that way to the next reservation. And he's pointing like in one direction, which becomes a key point of our escape. So I asked him, I'm like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. You don't have a neighbor for miles. Why are you locking your door and your deadbolt? And he said, oh, we just do it. Because that right there, when they lock the deadbolt, I'm like, okay, this is getting weird.
And you're former military.
Correct. I'm a former Marine. So the lady keeps coming up. She wants to hug Guppy. She's telling her how much she loves him. In fact, I didn't discover it until last night because the gentleman was teaching Guppy how to make bannock, which is a First Nation native fried dough that they make.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was taking pictures. I had my video running. So you see Guppy at times, the guy, you see the floor, but then in it, you see the lady come up and give him a hug at one time, telling him how she loves him and he's so sweet and all this. And ironically that I caught it on video also, because I didn't know that until we got back last night when I was looking and uploading stuff to our YouTube channel. But around 5 o'clock, the gentleman said he was going to go take his wife into the bedroom and they were going to change clothes for the powwow because they have to do ceremonies. And he said, we'll leave about 6:30. Well, the powwow starts at 6. And you're now going to take us after it starts and everything. So
things aren't adding up.
Right? They went in their bedroom, and I was telling Guppy, all right, I got to get our bags and get this deadbolt unlocked.
Where are your bags in relationship to where
right
they are?
Right next to their bedroom, into another spare bedroom where
because
we had to
it's
put them.
we put them there whenever they were like normal and being real nice and stuff.
And so she comes back out, and the last thing she said, she comes out in the living room and she looks at Guppy and says, I'm going to raise you. We're going to figure out how to raise you. And she walked in her bedroom and shut the door. I, as fast and quietly as I could, went to the spare bedroom. Actually, I took Guppy to the stairs and to get down to the deadbolt. And I told him, I said, get down there, stand next to that door. I said, I'm going to grab our bags. I'm tiptoeing down the stairs. I'm unlocking that deadbolt. And I said, when I open that door, you get out and hand in your bag. I said, head straight for the field and keep walking and put your bag on as we go. And
this is like from the movie Taken.
Oh,
Did you see the movie Taken?
Yes.
Don't ever watch the movie Taken.
Yes, it reminded me of a movie. It reminded me of that. And it reminded me of that movie where the two kids think they're staying at the grandparents and they're not the grandparents. I mean, all these movies, that's what Catherine afterwards, I was like, all these movies were flying through my head of, all right, look for this. I mean, once it's got different and it started going weird, Guppy was never within a foot of me. I kept trying to put him and the people behind us. Now, mind you, the gentleman the whole time was just defending his wife and trying to, I mean, he was very nice, very sane, I guess, which was the best.
As sane as you could be, supporting her, right.
Yes.
There's a sanity there, but an odd.
And we were trying to balance
Sure.
both, like, yes, she went through this rough time and she's going through a lot of PTSD, depression and everything. But in the same sense, I have to make sure.
But she can't kidnap your son.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you don't really have a defense. Like, you're trying to sort of keep the peace, if you will, because you're planning, I got to get away. Now, how am I going to do it? And you're trying
you can't provoke the situation and make it even worse.
So you tiptoe down, get the bags,
we tip down the stairs,
and then what?
And then we get out the door, and I got the deadbolt unlocked, and then just left it unlocked, just left their key and stuff in there. And then we handed him his bag on the front porch, and we started walking through a field. And we got to a first dirt road. Now, and the crazy thing about Saskatchewan, Alberta,
so flat.
It's so flat. We could see that house for 20 minutes.
Oh, so there's no cover. There's no height.
They never came. Man.
Because it's not, if they came out, you're in plain sight. I mean, hidden in plain sight. There's no hills.
And you're in some colored shirts that are not camouflage.
His backpack is orange.
Sure.
Well, for all the good reasons.
Yes. So we walk through the field. We get to a dirt road. We make a right on the dirt road. Walked about 5 minutes. Found another road. Made a left on that road, and it took about 20 minutes to finally get where we couldn't see the house. As soon as we got to our next road, we stopped, or we readjusted the backpacks, got everything tightened, because it was fast. We were just going. And this lady on the Indian reservation, she stopped immediately. And she was like, what are you two boys doing here in the middle of my Indian reservation? And so, thank goodness I had the videos of Jamie at the golf course and different stuff from the town, because all of the natives in the area are related.
And we didn't want
And I was scared of her taking us back to say, was our cut? Hey, did these, and they use the term that they use. Do these two white boys, are they okay to be on the reservation? Because, I didn't want anything. So I said how we were taking pictures, told her Guppy goes to Alaska, showed her some stuff. And I'm like, we're just trying to get back to the Trans-Canada Highway. And so she looked at everything and she's like, oh, I know Jamie, he's my cousin. So she must have been the other cousin too, because Jamie was the cousin of the two people that had us also. Like, just a lot. The natives they're all related. I mean, they're all a tight fit community related somehow or another. And but she took us straight to the a little town. And what's funny is we got a picture with her and a picture of the thing, and the sign right behind her said "Kindness Matters," and it was so ironic that that's what that was. Where's the ride that saved us, dropped us off there. Yeah. But it was still terrible for Guppy. We were about 10, 15 miles away from that reservation, and there was a restaurant there, so I went in, got him something to eat. We're sitting there, and he's just looking out the window the whole time, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" He said, I'm waiting for the truck to pull up, Dad." And so we had a little extra money, so we put some money together, and there was a motel there, so I got a motel for the night for him so he could relax and calm down. And we knew what time the guy worked the next morning, so at the moment he was supposed to be at work at the golf course at 6 a.m., we started hitchhiking out. And
just so you didn't cross paths again.
Correct.
Right?
And
it's like a Stephen King movie. You're walking out and he's on his way to work, and yeah.
Correct. And we made it fast. It was just like being in Ohio. We got to New York as fast as possible. We tried to get a couple states away, which we did in a few hours. Wow. We went right through Alberta and Saskatchewan, then to get to the Lloydminster, I believe, where we were on the border of both of them. But yeah, it was, I won't say, he wasn't like upset, like fear or anything. It was more like, I do not want to go through that again, Dad. Like, it was all paranoia, I guess he was said. It was paranoia for that whole day, right after that, with him. And it was hard as a dad doing this to try to make it fun again. I could not let it end on this.
Right,
and that's what I kept telling him.
They don't want to be your last
memory, right? Like, he was done. I know
he got
he
chased
was
home, right?
Done, and I was like, "Look, you cannot let that ride define your adventure." And I was just like, she had mental problems. Hopefully she'll get some kind of treatment. And it ended well. We got out of there. There's no issues. And it's you don't know what's going on in her mind. You don't know. I mean, I know people that have lost a child and everything. I would never want to imagine it. And so, I mean, it's just, you have to balance it both. You have to take the crazy with the sane and roll the dice and deal with it. And like I said, we got out of there without a scratch. We didn't, you don't cause issue. You don't want to make the problem any worse. Like, I was making it clear we wanted to get out of there, but I wasn't confronting them. I wasn't challenging them. I was looking for our out. And Guppy and I are in constant communication. And it was funny. We talked about the code word. When I was talking to my wife, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Nope, this is a drop the code word moment." And she was like, "Do you need me to call anybody?" I said, "Not at the moment. I don't want to scare everybody. Let us get out of here. Give me an hour. If you don't hear from me in the next hour or two, start calling." I said, "But I said, if anything, I said, let me get to the powwow and escape from there." Oh, and that was where I told you this comes in, where they kept telling us the powwow was to the left.
Was it?
We decided it was. Oh. But at that moment, when we were getting out, we were no longer going the powwow.
Yeah, encounter.
We were going in the opposite direction, because I thought when they come out of the bedroom, if they go, they're going to think, oh, they're going to try to head to the powwow, so they're going to go in that direction to get us.
Yeah, just thinking, yeah.
And so we went in totally opposite direction of where the powwow would be.
So maybe sometime you'll get to a powwow, but it didn't happen for you this time. Yeah. When did you kind of regain your... when did you not feel paranoid anymore?
After we got like 2 provinces away, I'm like, they won't follow us this far. And like the first night I was like, should we block them on Facebook so they can like find our location? And I was like, wait, they could just make another account and all this stuff. So I was just like freaking out.
Well, how many followers do you have?
On Facebook, we have close to like 1,000 followers and over 1,000 on YouTube.
That's so
I know
fun.
On this time, if you typed in #GuppyG, we didn't have to type in the whole Guppy Goes to Alaska. It immediately popped up.
Yeah, it comes up. It's been so fun following you. So I don't like to end on moments like that either. So now I know there's got to be a funny story in between all of this stuff. Do you have like a really funny moment like I had? Do you ever have a time where you have a laugh attack? For me, like an insane laugh attack where I have been in tears. It's only happened maybe a handful or two of times in my life where it's uncontrollable and I just can't stop. Did you have like some funny moments? Maybe not quite like that.
No, we had a moment like that because
You did?
we were in Hinton's, Alberta, and we had went to a campgrounds, and there's nobody in this campground. Everybody was gone. You would think we'd be scared out of our wits. And we built a fire. You see, there's bear poop all over the place. We're asking people, hey, what are those claw marks on this tree? And they're like, oh, that's bears. And
For the people that are used to camping.
Yeah.
so we're
Former
sleeping in a sleeping bag underneath the picnic table, laughing, going, oh boy, man, this has got to be the funniest thing ever. The only thing we have to save us is a picnic table. And so we did everything right. We put the food up and all that, and, and actually 2 campsites over in a tree.
Okay.
And then the next morning, this is when we start laughing, because I heard something in the middle of the night. Well, Guppy got a candy bar the night before, didn't eat it all, and put it right in my backpack under my head.
Oh.
So I'm sleeping in
Thanks,
the middle
Dad.
of there.
Oh my
We woke up and we saw that, and we laughed, and as we were walking out, we laughed and laughed and laughed. It was one of those like uncontrollable laughs. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we were turning like, yeah, Guppy's trying to get rid of me, getting eaten by a bear, doing this by himself. And,
So he wanted to go back. He wanted to go back a couple promises with the lady. He wanted to get rid of that. Yeah.
but with everything, we have a lot of moments, especially being tired and out there.
Yeah.
Stuff. And you know what's funny is he and I were discussing it last night. All right, you don't realize it until you start getting home because everything happens so fast. You don't get to realize what you did, what you saw. Tom picks us up. We talk about that. He shows us something. We get out. And we don't get to process what Tom did because now Tina picks us up and takes us to the next town, and we get to see that.
Yeah.
We get out of there and we go to the next thing and we see that. And last night we were sitting there after being home for like 12 hours, relaxed, and it was like, man, it flew by. It flew by so fast. And I mean, we were enjoying every moment you enjoy, but you don't realize what you just did. I know it sounds funny, but it happens so fast you don't realize what you did until
No,
you come
I get
back,
it.
until it can be like,
Right.
wow, we did all that in one day, and
Right.
it was just.
I bet you still have so much more to process because you've been home a whopping 12 hours or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. I can't believe that you were willing to make time for us.
Oh, we
Yeah.
appreciate you
Oh, my
letting us
gosh,
come
that
in
was,
here.
That
This
was
is
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, when
Thank
Tina,
you.
when Tina said, she said, I think they're getting back on Wednesday, and it's like, yes, that would be awesome.
I know
Wow.
I'm messaging him like, when you home? Are you
When-
home
when
yet?
you home, yeah.
By the
Trying
way,
to get home was hard. We were trying to get home. What is today? I get lost. Today's
Thursday, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
we were so close Tuesday night.
Okay.
but
we
your
were-
thumbs weren't working.
They were broke for a long time. We walked for about 4 hours without a ride, but we couldn't get to a good. It's like trying to ride or hitchhike through Wadsworth with all the sidewalks. You got to get to the
Oh.
end of the city.
Okay.
And
I
so
see,
we
yeah.
were stuck. And that was a shout out to Jen Wiles. When she saw us stuck, she threw money and she said, hey, I want you to Uber, take $100 Uber and get us out of there as far as you get closer to home and everything. So
nice.
That, helped us out there to get us. And once she did that and we were able to do that, we started getting rides again. We were back on track and everything.
Oh,
Wow.
that is so fun. What was
That's
your
awesome.
favorite moment, Dad? What was yours?
Just being there with Guppy, watching his excitement. You talk about when he's older and stuff, especially I was getting, around day 16, I was talking to my wife, and I just started getting so teary-eyed. I was so happy. I was like, you should have seen the excitement of him when he saw his first bear and everything. And when we went to West Edmonton Mall, and we were watching a sea lion show, and they chose him to come out top. We were in the top of the auditorium area, and they said, does anybody want to come down? And he jumps up and me. And they were like, all right, young man. So he got to walk all the way down there and interact with the sea lion and get his picture
Cool.
taken
Oh
with
my
the sea
gosh,
lion.
that's
And
awesome.
It was
so many
It was
memories.
amazing, yes. And
Do
just,
you write things down along your journey or when you get home even?
yes,
Like a
well, we
journal.
carried journals with us also, and we were writing with them at the beginning, but that was one of the things we mailed back on day 12 because they weighed about a pound each. The books were kind of heavy, and we were finding.
Which is fine if you're walking from here to the parking lot, but when you're walking halfway across every half a pound or
Sure.
pound really starts to add up after a while.
Like I said, 7 pounds, 11 ounces, what we mailed back. And we were down to this going, all right, we have 30 Band-Aids. I really think we only need 10. I mean, we were cutting it like that. Do we need the fingernail clippers? No. Do we need this? I mean, we were sending home extra shirts. Like we had each. We went with the 2 Her Realtor shirts, red and white ones. Plus, he brought his Ruskin Drive-In Theater shirt from last year, and I can't remember what my shirt was. But we sent those back because we were like, let's just get down to 2 shirts. We sent back a pair of pants. We could do it with 2 pair of pants and just try to get everything bare minimal, and also souvenirs for the kids because we were hauling some souvenirs along the way.
You know, like the one thing, of course, you're documenting everything on your phone in the video or whatever. Simple things is, where do you charge it?
Okay, we carry backup batteries. We carry backup phones, and then every ride, if we get in, we'd be like, Tom, do you mind if I charge my phone as we go along?
Okay.
And that we'll find like the churches and schools that we would camp out at. They would have plugs outside, like where they would plug in their weed eaters or different stuff.
Okay, just an outside, like we have outside the bank here, kind of a thing. Okay,
Correct.
So, all right.
How do you determine how far someone takes you when you're hitchhiking?
It's however far they want to. And if they want us to get out early, we get out early. It's no like fighting how we're not like take us farther or take us shorter.
Okay. Any idea what your longest ride was or your shortest ride?
100%. Our longest ride was with Billy, the very first day. Billy Kendricks, I believe, was his name. Not the first day, second or third day, but he picked us up on Ontario, the edge of Ontario and Saskatchewan, I think, or I don't even remember what border. But he said, where are you going? And we were telling him Alaska, and he was like, well, I'll get you all the way towards the other side of Edmonton, Alberta. He said it's a 24-hour ride, and we have 23 hours to get there. He said, I start a new job tomorrow. He said, do you have a license? And I'm like, yes. And so we drove for 23 hours and taking turns back and forth driving and stuff, letting each other rest. And so that's what helped get us to Alaska a lot faster.
Okay.
And so everything we missed there, we caught on the way back. We took our time coming. But he was our longest ride. Shortest ride would probably be one of the funnest rides. Everybody kept telling us to go to Chicken, Alaska. So once we got to Fairbanks, Alaska, we hitchhiked back down to Tok, Alaska, and then we hitchhiked to Chicken, Alaska, which is on the northeast side of Alaska. Mm-hmm. And Chicken, Alaska has, go ahead and tell them how many people live there.
3.
No.
3 people
There are
that
3
live in
buildings
Chicken,
and 3
Alaska.
No way.
And I was like, and to get there, it's an all dirt rocky road down the mountain, and then you have to walk up the mountain. Guppy and I walked 67 kilometers to get to top of the world from Chicken, Alaska. We walked up the mountains to get to Chicken, Alaska, and then to walk over the border into Yukon, Canada. But this is where our fun ride comes in. Along that 67-mile kilometers, we had 2 4x4 rides that probably took us equivalent, probably both of them combined was about 10 kilometers. And then towards the end where the dirt road splits, you'll go to Eagle, one-way Alaska, and then you'll 10 to 15 miles to the Yukon border. This truck went by, and he had a trailer, and he had 2 4x4s on the back of it. And he had no room in the truck, but he said, hey, if you want, climb on the back of each of you get on a 4x4, and I'll take you 2 miles up the road.
Oh, cool.
And that was fun. It was like, I was videotaping him, and I'm like, well, this is like they're making movies. He's on there.
Oh, that's
going
cool.
through the mountain, and that was a short and fun ride. Every little bit helps. Like if you're going to take us 1 mile, 1 kilometer, 100 kilometers, every little bit helps. What we would do is, since Guppy's faster than me and I'm carrying all the weight, and it did look like he was carrying more because he had the sleeping bag and the blanket, but his backpack weighed
like 7 to 8 pounds, and his weighed like 30.
Yes,
Because mine couldn't fit anything wrong.
So, say if we were trying to get to Wadsworth, but we were on a back, 100 miles from here or something, most people aren't going to know Wadsworth, so we would say, we're going to Akron, we're going to Cleveland.
Right.
So I would always tell him the most major city in the direction we're going, and when he would get up to the car, he would, tell them where we're going and everything as I caught up.
It'd always be funny, because he'd get there, and in the car, he'd be like, okay, you give me a second to explain.
It was terrible. And sometimes they would park like 200 yards up a hill ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I'm running up this mountain trying to catch them, and it's just like I'm out of breath when I get up there.
Yeah.
Get in the car, like, just give me a minute. Give
Yeah.
me a minute, and I'll explain what we're doing and everything. But what where we get in the kindness matters, you would not believe how many, I would say 75% of the rides or more would take us further than they were supposed to. Even our our last rides. Like say if you guys were going to bring us to Wadsworth, but we're trying to get to Akron, you would take us to Barberton and Norton just to get us a little bit closer.
Go out of there. In other words, go out of their way to take you a little bit for that. That's not how far they were going, but they were being kind and taking you a little bit, try and help every little bit they could.
Correct. On Tuesday evening, when our thumbs started working again, we got picked up by a gentleman who was going to take us about 10 minutes up the road, and he loved what we were doing, and he said, oh, you know what, I'm going to take you to the next city. And then, so we were like, good, and then he, 5 minutes later, he goes, up, change of plans, I'm going to take you to the next city. And then he's like, I have a date tonight that was supposed to start at 6. I'm going to call her and tell her what I'm doing, I'm going to take you to the next city. So what she did, and then it was funny, later that evening, his date texted me, and she was like, hey, Dave doesn't have Facebook, but he told me all about you, and that's why he was late on the date, and we love what you're doing and want to continue following, and thank you so much for letting him be part of your adventure. And that was the greatest, funniest feeling for us, is so many people would give us a ride thanking us for letting them be part of our adventure, and we're like, oh, thank you so much.
And I love it. A friend of mine, when my 16-year-old cousin had her 16th birthday, some of my closest friends and I, we were asked to write some advice for her. And one of the things my friend said that has stuck with me, she's now 18, so the last couple of years, is just be thankful you were a part of something, like be grateful that you were part of it. And I think that's why people were thanking you, is because it was fun. Just like for me, I wish that, I always like to be part of something that's fun and exciting and new and vibrant and things like that. You want to be a part of it. So like, thank you for letting me go on this journey with you, because they feel a part of like community, if you will.
See, I tried to help her out. I handed her my car keys and said, I would like you to take part of rotating my tires. I tried to help her, but no, she doesn't.
Out of here.
Yeah.
We had to help change a tire on the way. A gentleman had a blowout, and yes, and it was funny because I'm like, every time we did laundry, within minutes something happened to get dirty. We just put clean clothes on.
It would rain.
Yeah, blew his tire, and we're down there, and both of us, Guppy's handing him this and that, and it was funny because the guy's like getting frustrated with his tire.
He didn't know how to. Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to change a tire. They don't. A lot of people don't necessarily know how to do that.
Then he comes back with this axe,
And
and on the side of the road, and
An axe?
And
a hatchet thing, and we thought he was going to try and cut it off, but he just put the thing in, like was
he was using
it
it as a hammer to loosen the loop. But I mean, all of a sudden, this guy just comes around his truck with this hatchet.
It's like, whoa, you're ready for the code. Code word.
Guppy was like, what's he going to do with the axe? I'm like, I don't know.
But
Yeah.
But he had his lug nuts and everything. They had a special key to go on him, and then he had another key, and they were too tight.
Yeah.
So, boom, and yes, we did that. And then it was his jack broke, and Guppy was little enough that Guppy could get his hands in to put a little pipe in to the thing, and we would turn it. Guppy put it in. I'd grab it and turn it, pull it out. Guppy would fish it through the hole again. I would turn it. And so the three of us did teamwork getting this guy's huge tire change off of his truck.
Wow, there's so much. I can't even believe the amount of information and fun and adventure that you still have to process. And I feel like we could talk to you for probably 30 days to pack in everything that you went through. But we're just grateful we got to have you on for almost an hour today.
Thank you for having us.
Chat all about
Thank
it.
you for following and supporting us.
Thank you. When you go again next year, you reach out. Do not forget about us.
100%.
This is fun. I think that you have really sparked like a movement even here locally of just getting out, enjoying, adventuring, do
Have an
something that you
adventure.
haven't done
You
before.
don't have to hitchhike, but have an adventure. Life.
Right.
Go do something. Do something. Your kids are off for summer. Go do something, even for an hour. Go and have an adventure. There is so much to see and do around here. I mean, even here in Wadsworth, just take the kids to the Kaleidoscope Memorial Park, walk through the
trail or anything. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you don't have to go for 30 days. 30 minutes in
I mean, there's fishing at Memorial Park, even those things. I mean, it's like, no, you don't have to drive a long way to fish. You can just go down to our own parks and fish.
Yes, 100%. Just life, just have an adventure.
All right, well, very good. Thanks again.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much
having
for having us on here.
Thanks again. It's 15 minutes after 9 o'clock here on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio.